Hello Internet, AdoptedMike here. Today I'm going to take a look at this mechanical gaming keyboard from Tesoro. This is the Tizona. It is a 10 keyless mechanical keyboard. Obviously, as you can tell by the box in front of you. So, anyway, I saw this at PAX Prime this year. And I had to have it. It was kind of interesting to me because I do prefer the 10 keyless keyboards for my setup personally, but this one here had a unique feature of having an optional docking 10 key to go along with this, which you can see over here on the right. There's a USB 2.0 port, and there's also one on the left anyway, but there's some magnets there, and the 10 key will actually dock right into there, and then it will have full keyboard functionality, which when I saw that I was like, awesome, because sometimes I need a 10 key, sometimes I don't, and what better way to do it than something like this. So anyway, let's take a look at the box here, and we'll see some of the features. So specifically, we've got on the back, we can take a look, and that will be what we can focus, the finished product will look like there. And I did order the 10 key as well too, but we'll take a look at the keyboard first. We've got some quick launch keys as well too, braided cables which are detachable, and there's a DC in jack there, which is actually a USB cord to that particular barrel style, and it just gives some extra power to the USB 2.0 built-in hub, which there's one there and then one on the other side. But anyway, let's get the keyboard out of the box, and we'll see what it comes with. So here's what's included in the box. First of all, we've got the USB cable for the keyboard itself. It's 1.8 meters, and it is a nice heavy-duty braided cable. One thing to note here, it is fairly stiff, and that may be to your liking or not, so it's something to consider. And then we have just a regular USB cable, not braided, and this is for the additional 5 volts to the keyboard to help power the 2 USB ports that we were talking about on the end. There would be one, and there are the other. So we can take a look at the keyboard itself. It's pretty rigid. It doesn't really want to flex that much. It's got some weight to it as well. I'm going to take a look around. On the bottom, we've got 2 rubber feet down here for gripping the surface, as well as on the stand. We got some rubber there, and these pop up, and it's a very satisfying click into place as well too, I should mention. They definitely aren't going to fold in on you, and there's also some rubber then on the edges to help it from sliding. So anyway, I'll take a look at that. Purple's not my favorite there, but it's not totally horrible. One thing I also want to mention too about the box, it does have a carrying handle on it, so the keyboard can actually go back in the box, and then you could use it as a briefcase, if you will, to carry the keyboard around. There's some good foam here, and then this plastic pop-out deal, so the keyboard would just go in there, and the piece of plastic will keep it safe between the rubber and the foam and the plastic, and then you'd be able to carry it around to like a LAN party. So that may or may not, tickle your fancy, depending on if you're ever going to travel with it, or if you have a dedicated keyboard carrying case anyway. So that gets the keyboard out of the way, and I actually want to point out real quick too that I'm going to be comparing it against my CM Storm keyboard. That this is my daily use gaming one, and I've got the red keys on it, my little, gotta have that. It's the most important key to actually have on a keyboard. So but anyway, this is what I'm comparing it to. Now the Tizona actually weighs a little more, and they're both brown keys, so I'm going from brown to brown, so no big difference there for me. But yeah, so physically though, they are almost the same size. The Tesoro has that little bump out up top right here, and that's about the biggest size difference. As far as height goes, they are both very similar in height as well too. You can take a look. The CM Storm may be a little higher here on the back end, This is actually a fantastic keyboard in my opinion. Been using it for a long time, so at any rate, yeah, the Tesoro is so far very similar to the CM Storm that I have there on the right. And like I said, I love the CM Storm, but why would I replace it? Well, because we talked about earlier, we talked about the 10-key add-on for that keyboard. So this is an option. It did cost extra. It does not come with it, unfortunately. At least the keyboard that I bought did not come with this. Maybe there is a kit that is available, but at any rate, let's take that out of the box and we'll get a good look at it. So inside that box, I was actually surprised to see a nice braided extension cable, which I think is, not necessarily a necessary add-on, being that it's designed to work with the Tesoro keyboard and dock. As you can tell there, the USB is sticking out. But if you were to buy this, you could use it, without the Tesoro keyboard and just plug it directly into a USB port on the computer. So I think that's kind of a nice add-on, although unexpected. And we'll take a look. This is also brown keys as well too, so this is fully mechanical. You can see there's the magnet, so it can be mounted on either side of the keyboard, and it can be raised if need be to match the height of the keyboard, and then the USB cable can just swap back and forth. I am right-handed and I prefer to have this on the right side anyway, so I will leave it in its default configuration there. So now let's take a look, let's install it on the keyboard and we'll check out how smooth it is. So basically, just make sure our USB port is secure there, and then it will just line up, and I can feel the magnets already start to, there we go, just slide the USB cable into the side, the magnets attach, and yeah, so I mean there's some bounce to it, but that's to be expected. It's only a couple of magnets, but I mean, carrying it and moving it, it's not coming undone. So I mean, I could probably make it come undone, obviously, as you can see there, but it definitely will. Yeah, I mean, it slides across the table there fairly well. Let's see about just on the, yeah, so it doesn't really come out, so that's good. Definitely, because you wouldn't want to move it out of the way and then have it disconnect every time. So the magnets have some pretty good strength, and like I said before, it can also be mounted on this side depending on how you want to do it. But anyway, let's go ahead and hook it up, and I'll use it for a while, maybe like a week is what I'll do. I'll use it for like a week, and then through the magic of editing, you guys will it'll be a few seconds, but I'll come back with my conclusion on this. So this is how I've had it set up for the past week or week and a half. I like how this is working for me. You can see why I typically don't use a full-size keyboard, because I like to have my keyboard about right here where it is, and then that way I don't have any issues with my mouse and the keyboard together. When I start to move it further this way, it's too wide for me. It is. I like to keep my hands about shoulder width apart, and then to move the keyboard over a little more, I just feel too spread open. But anyway, so this actually works out great for me, because in the limited mouse use in a normal like web browsing and such, it's really not that big of a deal. And then when I go for gaming, obviously I pop that off, and then I get all of my real estate back on my mouse pad. So this has actually worked out really well for me. So I just wanted to give a quick overview of how I use the keyboard, so you guys had a rough idea before I go into my conclusion. But anyway, let's go ahead and move along with the conclusion. So the keyboard, brown keys on my old keyboard, the new one, no difference here. Typing, the same to me. Haven't noticed any issues like that. It's very heavy, it doesn't move. I like that a lot. You can tell that I've put my red keys from my CM Storm into the WASD, and that is where my first point is. the key caps are actually just a little smaller, and you can kind of see here a little close up. You can see that the red keys are definitely just a little closer together than the black keys, and that's not an actual huge difference or deal. I just wanted to bring that up because it does feel a little different, and you can totally get used to it. But when you go back to typing, I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. I don't really notice it at all personally, but I just wanted to point that out in case anybody is looking at this and putting some different keycaps on it. So that'd be one thing. And now we'll move along to, I'm going to go ahead and get the numpad out of the way. I really like the fact, I mean, I just like the numpad. I mean, I think it's great. From what I was using beforehand, I've kind of tossed it over to the side here, but I was using this, and which is basically just a USB keypad, and it's, you know, membrane switches, not mechanical. It, you know, very lightweight, bounces around, moves very easily. So this thing has been an absolute godsend to be, you know, just tied into the keyboard itself, and it's not, you know, as mobile. So I like that. The one thing I do not like about this keypad is there's no numlock light. Now that may sound like a minor complaint, but when you have caps lock over here, you can see in the video, I think you should be able to see it lighting up, and scroll lock as well too, lighting up. And then this one here is for the gaming function, which we'll talk about that later. But I would have really liked to see maybe a little light up here, you know, telling me whether or not the numlock was on or not, because sometimes, you know, you like that visual confirmation. So that's my one gripe about the numpad, and it is kind of odd too, I suppose, that there's a function key on the numpad as well too, which is kind of weird, but you know, it works, I guess. It's just a little different than I was used to, but definitely nothing that can't be learned. So just wanted to point out that you got a function. You can actually switch between N key rollover and 6 key just from the numpad alone. So I suppose that could be handy if you weren't using it with a keyboard or whatever, and you were plugging into a regular USB 2.0 port on the computer. So I just wanted to point that out about the numpad. So we'll get that out of the way and remove it, there we go. I try not to be too forceful with it, but pop it off like that, and there we go. So this is kind of cool because I just set it right up there by the monitor when I'm not using it and when I am gaming. And now I have my ideal setup. I can go hog wild over here and game with absolutely no issues. So we'll move on to the keyboard. It's pretty good. I do like it. It worked out very well for me. We got some media keys up here. I mentioned before you have a PC in gaming mode. It was kind of a little weird. There's no real instruction manual, so on the box that tells you how the function keys work and how all that stuff is. And I also found some information online on their website as well too that was a little better as far as an instruction manual, if you will. So you know, in gaming mode your Windows key doesn't work, and I mean obviously that's the point of gaming mode. And in gaming mode these 3 keys down here change. Like for example, in PC mode, this one will open your default web browser, the middle one will open your default media player, and the last one will open Outlook in my case. So when you're in gaming mode, then this key is the / key, which is basically this key here, and then your middle key is your asterisk key, which is a Shift 8, and then this key is the minus key, which is actually up there. So I really think it's cool to bind those keys to something in game, and the Shift key does not alter these at all. These are permanently bound to those 3 keys that I mentioned before, so they're not changeable, but which is fine too. So anyway, in a game you can set those, and it's just perfect placement for my size of hand anyway. So I can do my WASD there, and you know, if you have your jump key there, you can just pop down and do some different things. I've seen it before where you know, there's more keys on the left side or on the top, but to keep this kind of compact thing going on, 3 keys is that's pretty good. That's about right. So, and I haven't really messed with it personally, but I can totally see the value of having those 3 keys there. Anyway, we'll continue to move along, and we'll be testing the output of the USB 2.0 hub and see if it will work well for charging a device, which I'm going to be skeptical here and say it's probably not. But anyway, I've got my Android phone here, and so far we've got 4.97 volts. So I'll switch this over to the amps and we'll see how that works. Alright, so my Android device says it's charging right now, and we're getting 0.43, 0.42, so 400 milliamps draw from the phone. Probably likely that it's going to draw more than that, so I think we're not getting a huge power push, even though I have that additional power plugged in. Let's see about removing it, and yeah, we totally see now we're dropped down to about half, so less than 200 milliamps. So I would totally say that this is probably not going to be, you know, useful as far as charging a device. It may keep it from discharging, I suppose, a bit, but it's definitely not going to charge it at 400 milliamps, unfortunately. I'm going to try my Nexus. Let's see what we get out of the Nexus, and maybe that will be a different result, but take a peek here and see how that works. Plug in the Nexus, and there we are. And we're getting about the same draw on the Nexus 7. So I don't feel like we should count on either of these ports being charging ports, but I just wanted to go through that and see what kind of result we got. So definitely no go there. Alright, so to wrap it all up, what we have here is we have a really good keyboard with a really good feature set. A couple of downsides to it that I pointed out. Other than that, I would recommend it, especially if you are looking for something with a detachable 10 key. Then I would totally recommend it. If you're just looking for a regular smaller gaming keyboard, a 10 keyless keyboard, I still gotta go with my Cooler Master Quickfire up here. Yeah, this one here, I'm in love with this keyboard, but this here has got that feature set of the 10 key, and that was what's going to push this one ahead for me. So I definitely would take what I said into consideration, but ultimately, if you're looking for that 10 key, this is the keyboard that you want. So anyway, if you like the video, go ahead and give me the thumbs up and let me know that I'm doing a good job for you. And in the comment section below, tell me what you guys think. And as always, thanks for watching.